A mission of mine, in a way, is in that to write music based on Western classical European principles, but hugely influenced by outside that by ethnic and third world cultures, both in the use of instruments and in the use of text. Adiemus was a kind of phenomenon that came indirectly out of advertising, and that I had this idea for a while to compose some music that was essentially based on Western European principles, like choral music, but where the sound world of the choir was more akin to ethnic music or third world music, and not a kind of European classical trained voice or voices, a more kind of unique and ethereal and in one way, and another direction, a more kind of tribal, earthy kind of African singing. Once this was in kind of gestation, really, I was asked to write some music for, or we were asked to write some music for a Delta Airline commercial, and they wanted something ethnic, you know. And Adiemus was born, and it was used on the commercial, became very successful. I became a kind of a choral composer. Choral text, if you like, kind of attracted me. Whatever order, Requiem, Stabat Mater, Te Deum, Gloria, all these things, I thought there's somewhere here for me to work within this kind of framework and do what many of the great composers have done in the past in my own way. But part of this view I had of re-examining these texts or revisiting these texts was to try to incorporate as a culture outside the strictly Europeans. It wasn't a question of just setting these texts within a European framework, if you like. So although I was looking at these texts and I thought it is a scope, I wanted to bring a uniqueness to them that hadn't been done before. After the success of Adiemus, my next kind of foray into writing choral music was a commission for a Mass for Peace. The commission was instigated by the Royal Armouries, and they wanted a piece of music for the millennium that told the story and the horrors of war, and looking forward to a better future, a future of peace for all mankind. It would be a universal message. The master of the Royal Armouries, Guy Wilson, did a huge amount of work in researching text and finding text, so all credit for that should go to him, really. They wanted it to be termed a mass, so it had to have some core mass movements for it to qualify, if you like. So we have a Sanctus, Kyrie, Benedictus, Agnus Dei. The text, as I said, was to be universal, without boundaries. There's a Muslim call to prayer. There's a poem by a Japanese poet, Togi Sankichi, who died as a result of developing leukemia after the Hiroshima bomb. There's something from the Mahabharata, which is a Hindu epic. On top of that, we have poems by Dryden, Swift, Tennyson, Keats, Kipling, biblical extracts, 2 psalms. So it's pretty all enveloping kind of universal text that tells the story of war, the build-up, the catastrophe of battle, and the aftermath. And that's what it's about. The message of the text and the political message, if you like, the people's message within it is universal, and people respond to that. It's essentially saying how futile is war, and can't we think of a better way of solving things? So that's really important to people. And increasingly it's been performed with a film. The film was devised by Hevin Owen, a filmmaker in South Wales who works for Ronda Media.